All right, everybody. Here we are.
Here we are.
Hello.
Once
hello,
again.
Hello. Can you believe it?
We just keep coming back.
What? Are you okay?
Excuse me.
Do you need
It's hard.
some,
Like a bad penny.
You need a cup of coffee?
No.
No? Hey, Eric.
I'd like to go to sleep at some point tonight.
Okay.
Hi, Eric.
What's going on? We're going to get people in the door.
Yeah. I'm going to share this up.
I'm working crap hours,
Ah.
so I was able to make it in the first second. You really were here at like the second that I glanced over at the chat. That's pretty wild.
I'm sorry your hours are crap, but I'm glad you're here.
But good timing.
Sunny side is that you get to enjoy Guide to the Unknown live.
Yeah, exactly. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, what's going on? What have you all been up to? Doing? Whatever. We got
Yeah.
Andrew, we
Hey,
got
Andrea.
Nibs.
Hello, Nibs.
Hello. I'll tell you something that I've been up to.
Uh-huh.
Crayals.
Yeah.
Just earlier this evening, I placed a few orders for some scary books.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but the 11/22/63, the Stephen King book, is really clicking with me. I'm just really enjoying myself, and it's got me thinking about other Stephen King scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Trevor
Henderson,
Slimy Swamp Ghost, on Twitter, was talking about the Stephen King story 1408 today.
Oh, yeah.
And saying that he thinks that it might be one of Stephen King's best stories of all time.
Cool.
And I've only ever seen the movies, so I tried.
Same.
I got the book that it is part of.
Oh, nice.
So I got that, and then I picked up the other book of short stories from Stephen King that has the story The Jaunt in it, which I remember really being
I know what you're talking
into
about.
and freaked out by. So I got those.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm gonna be digging into those, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
What's going on, Eric? Family's got to take priority. It's all right.
Absolutely.
You'll see what we do. The Saturday planning session was cool, but you're gonna end up seeing what we are doing this month anyway.
Yeah. Hi, Emma. Hi, CBFR.
Hello. Oh,
I know
thank
Zoe
you so much.
is the cutest.
Thank you very much, CBFR. Yeah, I love my sweet little Zoe.
She's wonderful. Hey, Dana.
Eric also says, I've been working out with VR stuff and streaming so much. Feels like I'm working out with someone. What? What do you mean, like literally, like physically working out in VR? That's wild.
Maybe it's like We Fit kind of or something, but, you know.
Maybe. Or is it just like lifting weights, but you're in a VR world? You know, I don't know.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Luke. Hey, Brittany.
Hey.
Hello, Caitlin.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm really excited for what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
I'm also glad that Kristen and I sort of cross-referenced notes, and it turns out that we both had picked the same thing to talk about at some point.
Yep.
Which I think is so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And interesting. I mean, a little messed up.
Yeah.
But really fascinating, or at least
Totally.
one of the coolest names possible.
Yes, definitely the name. Feel like makes it. It's still a cool story anyway, but the name is really something.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Michelle. Ooh, I highly endorse you watching and eating a tasty dinner.
Ooh.
That's right. Good for you, Kit Kat.
Yum, yum.
Hi, Kate and KB.
Hello.
Excellent. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
Okay, so Eric says that he plays a drumming game that's super intense and a boxing game.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's how he's working out.
That's super cool.
Cool.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think before... is this a pre-show thing? Maybe.
Up to
Maybe, yeah. Allie got us stickers.
Oh, that's nice.
My wife, Allie, she brought them down to me before. I already broke into my pack,
Yeah.
which is why I have some Lucy's. But I do have this other one to give to you.
Oh, awesome.
From Al, so it's got nothing to do with me.
That's so cool. Oh, man.
It is.
They are oh my God. They're a Woodsboro sticker pack from Ghost Girl Greetings, previous sponsor of the show. Oh my, the first one I see is Bam Bitch Went Down.
Yep.
Oh my God. Sid, super bitch.
Super cool. They're awesome too.
This is awesome. Okay, so, oh man, I love these. So this is Bam, Bitch Went Down. Tatum says that. We have Drew Barrymore crying and saying, I saw that movie 20 goddamn times. Little Popcorn, Ghostface. Oh my
Yeah, he's
God,
got,
I
like,
love
popcorn
these.
in his eyes, almost like having stars in your eyes.
Oh my God, I love these.
Aren't these cool?
Getting ready to watch a video with Jiffy Pop. And I'll send you a copy. And it's the Gail Weathers book, The Woodsboro Murders.
I know. I'll send you a copy sticker.
I love them.
This one specifically reminded me that I need to find somebody who makes a dupe of that book to put on my shelf. Right? I would love to have the Woodsboro Murders on my bookshelf, even if it doesn't have any substance. That book doesn't exist, but I think it's awesome.
Don't buy that.
Oh, okay. Okay. What?
I already got it for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on what?
I
and
thought about
for
it
what?
like after Christmas and your birthday, and I didn't want to forget.
Oh.
So it's not like a real book or anything.
Yeah.
But I got it for
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
you.
very
I
much.
may as well just give it to you early, so I'll do that soon.
That's rad.
Yeah.
All right, cool. But yeah, those are Ghost Girl greeting stickers. They're
Love
super cool.
them. Thank you, Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Allie.
Allie.
Cool.
All right, everybody.
Oh, nice. Cool, Anastasia, listening while they clean the guinea pig's cage. Awesome.
Oh, nice.
I once had a guinea pig. What?
Hold on. What is this?
Uh-oh.
Clues. 2 famous ladies who lived there. What?
But
Wait, what is
also,
this?
Rosemary was the man in the piece and left in various... What? I don't know.
Hold on a second. What is this, like a puzzle to solve?
Well, it's CBFR. It's not like a rando just dropped in and saying, but...
2 famous ladies who lived there, but also the recent partner who was dismantled into pieces and left in various appliances around the kitchen before her murderer offed himself.
Did they say...
What does that mean?
Scroll up. Maybe there's context that we're missing.
What does
Look for
that
comments from CBFR. Okay, we got that.
That's it. CBFR.
What is this?
What's happening? Clues.
Uh-oh, clues.
What does that mean?
What does this mean?
All
true.
Are
What?
we to guess?
2 famous ladies who lived there.
Oh, wait. I did title the stream New Orleans Scares Us. So is that something? I'm not familiar with what that is.
Also, the recent partner who was dismantling the piece and left in various appliances. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, those are... And then M. Gray says, oh, those are IRT. I don't know if that's like a slang thing. I don't know or whatever.
Okay, yeah, it's things
Okay,
that happen
everybody
in
else
New
knows.
Orleans.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right,
Andrea.
all right.
Well, I guess we're not going to be talking about that tonight. 'Cause
I guess
Will and
not.
I don't know what
Yeah,
that
I have no
is.
idea what that is.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the case? You may as well say. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's- yeah.
exactly. We won't be talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds wild, but it's
Yeah, it
also
does.
like very like true crimey.
Yeah. I love these.
I know, these stickers are awesome.
Yes.
Although, you know what? I do have something that I'm going to talk to you about that's not supernatural. It's just crazy about New Orleans.
Is it also vampire-y?
No.
Okay, because one of my things is... It is kind of true crimey, but it plays into the... I'm going to talk about all vampire New Orleans stuff today.
Okay.
2 ladies with cool names and their tragic story.
Okay,
What?
let's check in with this
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the show.
Yeah. IRTs. Oh, in regards to. Gotcha.
Oh, okay. One case was a lady who was murdered and basically cooked and left in pieces.
Did that happen with what does that have something to do with Marie Laveau and Madame Lalaurie?
Okay. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that's a very, very famous.
Wait, really? Marie Laveau was cooked?
Well, I don't
Or
know.
what?
I don't know, but I know that Marie Laveau and Madame Lalaurie have something to do with each other, and that's one of the most famous New Orleans things.
Oh,
and
okay. They're not. It's not about how their stories are connected to each other.
No, that what thank you, CBFR. Caitlin, that was Charleston, South Carolina. That was what Caitlin's talking about. Is I talked about on an older show at some point that I went on an old house tour in Charleston, and the guy who was doing the tour just kept using the word footman, and I was like, what's a footman?
Right.
And I really wasn't even trying to like bust balls or anything. I was seriously curious. And I mean, I did think it was weird if it was the case that it was slaves. But yeah, I was when they're like, do you have any questions? I was like, yeah, when you're saying footmen, do you mean slaves? And he was like, yes, I do. Okay, now the drawing room. And I was like, oh,
You sussed it out.
that's weird.
Kristen thought to herself, well, that was pretty sus.
Yeah, that seems very sus that he
Super
he
sus.
keeps saying footmen. Yeah, we need not erase the past.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. Call it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
historic house stores in the South are quite something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yikes.
Yeah. I've gone on a bunch of them because
I do have
find
some
them
like slavery
fascinating, but-
history in one of my things.
Yeah, I mean,
one of
it's
my
a big part
stories
of
is
it.
like arguably a bummer. I might honestly give sort of like a trigger warning type thing ahead of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what CBFR was talking about was Zach Bowen and Addie Hall. Zach killed his girlfriend in their apartment, and I guess did that other stuff like hiding her in appliances and
Oh,
stuff.
yikes.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about Nick Cage a little bit, Andrea.
As far as things being sus, I've never played Among Us, but I would if people wanted that.
Hey, Sarah.
I don't know. Hey, Sarah.
I could get into a history of Nicolas Cage horror movies
Oh my God, yeah.
episode. That sounds fun.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and say it. A while back, maybe 2 years ago, I came very close to starting a podcast called Caged In.
Yes.
Where I would literally just watch everything Nicolas Cage has ever done.
Right.
So there would be podcast episodes about his movies, talk show appearances, literally anywhere he's appeared. I would just talk about it.
Exhaustive.
All right, exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
I just
everybody.
watched The Rock and it ruled.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's time for the
Yep.
main show.
Yep.
Everybody.
All right.
But we'll
Enjoy.
talk to you at the end. Yeah.
Yep. Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are traveling once again, digging into the haunted history of a geographical location. This time, New Orleans, Louisiana.
This is one of my favorite things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I love picking a place and then finding urban legends and monsters and stuff from that area.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a means to find fairly obscure stuff too that people don't frequently talk about.
Right.
And honestly, I think one of the things I want to say before we even start the show is that obviously in New Orleans, the things that spring to mind are voodoo. There are like voodoo priestesses that live there, like the very famous Madame
Marie Laveau.
Marie Laveau. I always get the two names mixed
Yeah.
up. They're very different people.
Yes.
The voodoo priestess Marie Laveau. And then there is the story of Madame Lalaurie, who was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And was caught having killed and mutilated slaves on her property, and then fled. We're not going to be talking about either one of those. They're the big guns, which makes them fascinating.
Yeah.
But also, I think we've got a lot more sort of like, not obscure,
Yeah, maybe
but-
semi-obscure, like smaller stories.
which to me is very exciting.
I think so too. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, I wouldn't be against talking about Marie Laveau someday
Yeah.
because I actually don't know that much in depth. I know kind of the broad strokes
Sure.
and things that I heard on like tours when I was in New Orleans. But like I feel like it's a story that's probably been done a lot.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
so
think.
it feels fun to try some others.
If that's something that people out there are interested
Yeah,
in,
by all means.
definitely let us know at
Seriously.
GTTU Pod, because we're not against it.
Not
but
at all.
Interestingly, we didn't agree to this ahead of time, but both of our instincts went, let's find things that are less known.
Yeah.
Which to me, it's really sort of like, it's a little research intensive, but it's plumbing the depths and finding
Yeah.
all of these real,
Those juicy plums
those juicy plums,
that are down in the depths.
really odd, interesting stories.
Yeah.
That just maybe aren't on the most well-worn paths. I'm really excited to talk to you about a few things that I looked up.
Yeah, totally. Also, I want to thank Michelle from our Patreon for suggesting that we do another location-based place. When we had our Patreon live stream where we plan the next month of shows, Michelle said that she really loves those. So we're like, all right, let's do one of those this month. So thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a great idea, and honestly, it really did lead me to some really fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go first?
Okay, do you want me to go with a long one or a short one?
Long one.
A long one? All right, let's start out with something that I have evidently misunderstood
Okay.
for years. So I also, we've each gone on vacations to New Orleans. And so Allie and I went there a few years back. And we really just followed in your footsteps because you'd given us a bunch of
In
recommendations
so many ways.
of course, of places to go. But one of them was the Voodoo
Yeah.
Museum. And so you go into this very tiny store
Yes.
where the walls and the floor are packed with dollar bills and coins, which are meant to be offerings. And there was on one wall, in between a bunch of skeletons and skulls that have cigars shoved in their mouths. It's a very cluttered but interesting place.
Yeah.
There was a tall human full-sized mannequin with a taxidermied alligator head. And beside it was a plaque explaining that this crocodile alligator headed man thing is what is called a rougarou.
Yes.
Rougarou.
Yeah, this is something I don't know a lot about. I'm glad that you're covering the rougarou. Yeah.
And I also want to call out that I work with somebody that is from New Orleans, Abigail. She wrote Blair Witch with me, and so the second we were going to do New Orleans, I was like, hey, hit me with like some
cool.
what jumps to mind for you, fun things that would be worth talking about. And she suggested the rougarou.
All right, awesome. And real quick, this is the Blair Witch Hunt to Killer box William is referring to that he wrote. What? I'm just saying.
Thanks for pointing out that I didn't write the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, no. Go huntakiller.com/Blair Witch. Super fun.
Yeah.
Dig around for some Easter eggs that might be of interest to people watching or listening to this show.
Yep.
Okay. So the rougarou, despite having a mannequin in the Voodoo Museum that had a reptilian head, is not a reptilian-based creature.
Okay.
That was, I think, a mannequin that was meant to be more metaphorical of a human-animal hybrid. Because the rougarou is actually a monster with a human body and the head of a wolf or dog.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's odd to me, because in my head
Yeah,
I
it is
always
weird.
went reptile man.
I mean,
Thanks a
I
lot,
did-
Voodoo Museum. The Voodoo Museum, of all places, to
I know
give
you think they would be into accuracy.
the absolute wrong information.
I mean, what I would imagine then is that somehow they got their hands on a taxidermied alligator,
Right.
and they were like, "Well, let's do something with this,"
Yeah,
and it's a
exactly.
stand-in for the rougarou.
Plus, it's, got a big snout, long rows of teeth.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if a child drew it, it might look like what the rougarou actually is.
Right. Alligators are the wolves of the swamp.
The swamp wolf is
Yeah.
what I've always called them. Oh, you mean alligators? Oh, you mean, sorry, what the hell's a crocodile? You're talking about swamp wolves?
What? Oh, gotcha.
Anyway. So the name rougarou actually comes from the French loup-garou. Loup, L-O-U-P, is wolf, and a garou is a person who can transform into an animal.
Cool.
So needless to say, this sucker, the rougarou, has got a lot of close ties to werewolves.
Yeah.
So many people actually sort of consider it to be a werewolf. Loup-garou and rougarou might even just be a matter of pronunciation. They mean the exact same thing. So a lot of the legend of the rougarou is very familiar to us, sort of keep your kids in line. If you act up, the rougarou will come take you, that sort of a story. So it does function as kind of a boogeyman. The rougarou is said to prowl around swamps, sugarcane fields, woodlands, and they want to suck your blood, so stay away.
Okay. No problem. Done.
It's weird to me that they're bloodsuckers. Many articles frequently called out the fact that the rougarou will bite you, but it's because it's drinking your blood. It's not gonna, rip you limb from limb,
Right.
or anything like that. It's almost vampiric in that way,
Or like chupacabra-esque.
kind of.
Because chupacabra's a dog thing. This is in that family.
Yeah, family of the dog. Yes, and actually, I will have a relative of the chupacabra later in this episode.
Oh, wonderful.
So, like I said, they're bloodsuckers. What's weird, especially about the rougarou condition, since it's a human body with a wolf or dog head, it's a temporary condition. At most, it might only last for 101 days,
Oh.
and then the condition of being a rougarou will be transferred to one of the people you've bitten.
Oh my God, just at random?
They never say at random, but they're like, it'll be transferred to somebody who's received the bite.
Yeah.
But I have to assume that 101 days you're not biting just one person.
Right, so it's everybody who has received the bite, probably?
Maybe, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Here's another very weird recipe to the Rougarou story. Very, obviously like word of mouth-ishly. The Rougarou story has a million different variations. Here's one that I thought was particularly interesting. The Rougarou specifically hunts down Catholics who don't follow the rules of Lent.
Oh.
And, what's more, if you break Lent for 7 years in a row, you will just become a Rougarou.
Oh, man.
So to me, again, and I know I've called this out many times about stuff in the past, where it's like, if you drown an old washerwoman, she'll become a banshee. It's like, okay, so that's the recipe for a banshee.
Yeah.
This, it's like, all right, and I'm going to eat meat again.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's 6 years in a row, one
Here
more,
we
and I get to be a
go.
monster.
Right.
Like, it's so...
Yeah, there are steps that you can take.
Yes.
If you wanted to become a Rougarou, you know exactly what to do.
If for some reason you were dying to become a Rougarou, all you need to invest is sort of 7 years.
Right.
I mean, it's really only a few weeks every year.
Or you could make sure that you're not observing Lent and like sidle your way up to an existing Rougarou so it bites you.
Oh, that's true.
And then at the end of its 101-day period, then you'll turn into a Rougarou.
If you're dying to be a Rougarou.
Right.
It's also called out that I guess Rougarou have more of a human form during the day. Again, very werewolfy.
Yeah.
Your wolf head might only develop at night.
Uh-huh.
It has nothing to do with full moon, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But it does say that Rougarou during the day, when they're just people, are full of like terror and panic that somebody will realize that they are really a monster and come hunting for them. So it's meant to be sort of a cursed existence.
Right. Sounds like it.
I don't know. I have this in my notes, and it's a bit of a tangent, except it's awesome.
Okay.
I wrote, see also, Lougarou. Loogaroo. Lougarou.
Right. What about Lou Guru, the guy who works down at the beignet stand in New Orleans?
Stop by and tell Lougarou I said hello and yum yum. So again, this is a tangent. It's almost not on theme, though it does have some connection to Louisiana. But it's awesome, and it's something we never would cover otherwise, so I'm going to cover it now.
Okay.
I also have to assume that it does have some... You'll understand it will have some connection to other things I'm talking about, and some of the transformation and biting aspect of the Rougarou.
Okay.
So, Lougarou. Rougarou with an L. It's also known as... It's got a bunch of other names, and the one that it goes by the most is the Sequoiant. It's a shape-shifting Caribbean folklore character who appears as a reclusive old woman by day. So again, appears one way by day versus night, like the Rougarou. By night, she strips off her wrinkled skin and puts it in a mortar.
Oh.
So you think of like a mortar and pestle, which
Yeah.
you would maybe use to like grind
Right.
seeds or herbs or whatever. It's for recipes or potions, perhaps. In her true form, as a fireball...
Cool.
So she strips off her skin, becomes a fireball.
Yeah.
She flies across the dark sky in search of a victim. The Lougarou can enter the home of her victim through any sized hole, like cracks, crevices, and keyholes. Lougarou suck people's arms for their blood. They also do legs and quote-unquote soft parts.
Ew.
Soft parts.
Gross.
Soft parts? God, I hope they mean tummy. I can only hope. And so they leave black and blue marks on their body by the morning. If the Lougarou draws too much blood, it's believed that the victim will either die or become a Lougarou, or maybe they'll just perish entirely, leaving their killer to assume their skin.
God.
So now it's got another set of skin it
Yeah,
can wear.
right.
The Lougarou practices black magic. Lougarou trade their victims' blood for evil powers with Basil, the demon who resides in the silk cotton tree.
Whoa, there's a lot going on here.
Welcome to like Tangent City. I know. I didn't even bother clicking on Basil. I was like, maybe someday. I'm
Right.
not sure.
A question I have is, what happened to the wrinkly skin suit with the mortar and pestle?
Great question. Okay. To destroy the Lougarou, coarse salt must be placed in the mortar containing her skin.
Okay.
so that she perishes, unable to put the skin back on.
Okay, so we call in Salt Bay.
We call in Salt Bay to sprinkle some salt on.
Right.
Here's the thing. I hear the story of the Lugaroo, and my mind immediately starts concocting a little horror movie. I think of,
It's very cool.
I think of The Witch, where she like grinds up a baby
Yeah.
and rubs blood on herself in a mortar with a pestle. And in this, she strips her skin off and puts it in there.
Yeah.
Because she needs to be the fireball form of herself to travel.
Yeah.
But it creates a weakness for her. Like, I love the idea of a monster that's super
Right.
overpowered, but they've got this exposed weakness that if people just learn
Yeah.
how to defeat it, they can.
Yeah.
And so to me, this plays like a movie in my head. Like, I can see this thing already. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't
very
even think
weird.
that like I would want to write that this is a Lugaroo. I would want to just write a movie about this and let people discover or connect it to old folklore through like word of mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
The
Why?
image, I think of like the strictly like the imagery of this. Imagine a person.
No, not why not a movie. Why would you specifically not want to say that it's a Lugaroo?
Because I think I guess well here's one thing, and I don't know where this term is derived from, but there's too much potential for people to make fun of it, or for it to diminish the fear effect of just seeing a person like peel their skin off and leave it
Yeah.
limp and floppy, tossing it into basically a bucket.
Right.
And walking away from it.
Yeah.
And like people stumbling across it and seeing, the skin of somebody's head with nothing inside it.
Yep.
Just flopping around like rubber gloves.
Looking like Zeke the plumber.
Looking like Zeke the plumber. I just think that the imagery of it is scary and the name is not necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. So
That is awesome.
That again is a tangent, but that's the Lugaroo.
Yeah.
And I'm calling that a subsection of my Rougaroo.
I would absolutely say it's a subsection of Rougarou. It's still transforming into something else at night.
Yeah.
The name is very similar.
Very
so-
similar.
Yeah.
Wildly similar.
Yeah.
Also, one other weakness of it, which is very similar to something we've discussed in the past, to expose a Lugaroo, one should heap rice around the house or at the village crossroads, as the creature will be obligated to gather every grain by grain, a Herculean task to do before dawn, so that she can be caught in the act. Now, we talked about that as an obscure weakness of vampires. They are
remember.
compelled to count mustard seeds if you
Oh,
sprinkle
right,
them all
right.
over the place.
Yep.
And I don't even know if we called it out in that episode, but the compulsion to count
Yes.
turns into the Sesame Street
We
The
did.
Count.
We did talk
call that
about
out?
it, yep.
It's so crazy that they use an obscure
I
fact
know.
about folkloric vampires to make their Muppet.
It's insane.
But it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's great attention to detail and weirdness.
Definitely.
And again, like not name calling the Lugaroo in a theoretical movie.
Yeah.
Leaving people to discover why the Count loves to count is a little more rewarding than
So
saying,
crazy.
yeah, don't you know vampires have to count mustard seeds? Anyway, here's this guy who's going to talk
It's
about
also
numbers.
so weirdly specific about mustard seeds. You just be like, what?
Yeah,
It's not easy.
That's what I'm saying. And I think it would be the same as like saying like, this is a Lugaroo, and having people go like, what did you even say?
I don't
How's
think
it
so. You could be
spelled?
like, there's a little known
exists an old
creature.
tale.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess that's true. But anyway, Rougaroo, Loopgaroo, and Lugaroo.
that's awesome. Well, William, how do you want to swing this? Because I have all vampire stuff.
Oh, you're all vampires
I'm
all the time.
vampires all the time. So
Okay,
I
I've
was
got-
envisioning a half and a half.
Oh, really? Okay, we
Yes.
can do that.
Yeah.
Because I do have something of a palate cleanser before I get to my next one anyway.
Great.
It's a micro one, and I got this from onlyinyourstate.com. All of our sources for all of our research are going to be on gttupod.com. Find links to get there in the show notes. So this is literally the full context that you've got. It is a superstition,
Okay.
supposedly, in New Orleans. If someone passes a mop over your foot, you will never marry.
Okay. Also, in New Orleans, if they're passing a mop over your foot and you're in the street or something, that mop is probably urine soaked.
Yeah, that's probably true, I guess.
So maybe that's why you won't marry, because you're stinky.
I don't know where I wrote
got
this down.
stinky foot.
Somewhere in my notes, because I was writing and just like coming up with things off the top of my head of how to describe things. I ended
Yeah.
up saying like, yeah, good luck dealing with this monster next time you're on Honky Tonk Lane. And because I
Trying to think of
couldn't-
Bourbon Street.
I couldn't think of Bourbon Street. So Honky Tonk Lane.
I feel like that's not that far off. We definitely went somewhere. It wasn't Bourbon Street, but there was somewhere that had like jazz bars or whatever. It felt like Honky Tonk Lane.
It was basically Honky Tonk Lane.
It
I
really
think
was.
It might be a cross street of Bourbon Street.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Okay, my next little creature, and this is, again, sort of like a classic favorite of mine. This is called the Le Fou Follet, French name. It is essentially, I'll tell you what, Le Fou Follet sort of translates to a million different kinds of things. Marsh fire,
Okay.
Cajun fairy, fire wisp, or the manic fire.
Whoa.
That's right. It
The
is.
Cajun Fairy is kind of out of left field. It's not very fire-ish.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's really more of just like a different
Yeah.
term, I guess. But this is the Le Fou Follet,
Cool.
a New Orleans variant
Of a Will-o'-the-Wisp?
of a Will-o'-the-Wisp.
Yeah, that's
Which you
awesome.
know I love.
I know.
We first talked about Will-o'-the-Wisps in Guide to the Unknown 3.
Yeah.
Single digit 3.
3.
It was Will-o'-the-Wisps and the Mothman that episode. Double header.
Yeah.
But so there is essentially the story of the Le Fou Follet is identical to the Will-o'-the-Wisp. It's really just a French term for a Will-o'-the-Wisp with a few things that I didn't come across in Will-o'-the-Wisp specifically doing. For one thing, the Le Fou Follet is said to gather in groups of like 5.
That's cool.
There will be 5 lights.
So they kind of like gather together and they're like, okay, let's, get one of these people
Let's
to
get
follow us.
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, as a catch-up for people that aren't familiar, the Will-o'-the-Wisp, just in general, is said to be a little ball of light. Maybe it's an imp, a mischievous little character that exists off safe roads, luring travelers into the dark, and eventually they'll find themselves drowned in water or a
Right.
bog or a swamp. And the real-life explanation is that swamp gas ignites in the air. Will-o'-the-wisps are real. It's just
Right.
that we wrote stories about them and gave them personalities. So the Le Fou Follet is a French one. So the legend says that the Fou Follet is a soul sent back from the dead to do God's penance, but instead attacks people for vengeance.
Ooh.
Not
Okay.
doing
Wow. That's not very penancy.
up to no good.
Yeah.
While it mostly takes part in harmless, mischievous acts, the Fou Follet sometimes sucks the blood of children.
Oh my God.
Some even say it was
That's a real swing. That's a pendulum that's really hitting an either end of the spectrum. Sometimes it's totally harmless. Sometimes it sucks the blood of children.
Thanks for sending me back to the world of living.
Yeah, right.
Slurp. Some legends say it's the soul of a child who died before baptism. Le Fou Follet. Now, here's something. There was evidently a French film from 1963 named Le Fou Follet, which was evidently a huge inspiration to filmmaker Wes Anderson, particularly for his movie The Royal Tenenbaums,
Ah, cool.
which I have long considered and referenced as being one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And so it seems like I might need to track down Le Fou Follet.
Sounds like it.
And give it a watch.
That's cool.
Okay. All right. My next one that I've got for you is also something of a mini, but it's a place that people can visit.
Yeah.
So this is Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop.
Ah,
and
yeah.
Bar.
Yep.
You're familiar with this one?
Yes, I went to Lafitte's.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I used the restroom there. It was way too crowded for us to stay.
Oh, we're gonna have something
What?
to talk about. We're gonna have something to talk about. You said restroom,
What?
and I've got
Bathroom.
some. I've got some
Oh, yeah,
bathroom
is it like
facts.
a haunted bathroom or something? Okay.
We'll get to it. So for people, the Lafitte Blacksmith Shop and Bar is the second oldest bar that still operates in New Orleans. It was built way back in the 1700s. It is named after privateers Jean and Pierre Lafitte, who used their cafe as a cover for illegal smuggling.
Yeah, pirates.
Pirates. Jean was called the Terror of the Gulf, Hero of New Orleans, and the Prince of Pirates. According to nightlyspirits.com, they say if contemporary accounts are true, he was probably a pirate of the Captain Jack Sparrow variety.
What does that mean?
Savvy.
Yeah.
He was doing his best Johnny Depp impression.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Means that maybe Johnny Depp's doing a Jean
What does that mean?
Jean Lafitte impression.
What is it to be of the Captain Jack Sparrow variety?
Drunk.
Yeah, that's all it must mean, right?
Drunk and shuffling
Yeah.
with a magic compass.
Yeah. Eyelinered.
Secret heart of gold.
Yeah, okay.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
I don't really. I would like to rewatch those movies. I don't really remember them.
Roguish.
Yeah,
I like those movies.
I know.
So these days it said that you can see their spirits, full-bodied ghosts in there.
Okay.
But also somebody said you can see demonic eyes in the fireplace.
But why?
All the haunting stuff that I read was super vague.
Yeah.
But then there's this, and again, it's a mini tangent, but it's worth it. It's also said to be haunted by people who died in the fires of 1788 and 1794. So a brief bit of New Orleans history. There was the Great New Orleans Fire of 1788. It started at 1:30 p.m. on a Good Friday, and because it was Good Friday, even though this fire was threatening the entire city, priests refused to allow church bells to be rung as a fire alarm.
That's like in Centralia, Pennsylvania, which we covered. I'm not sure when, but if you do a search for Centralia in our feed, you can find it. But a fire started underneath this town, and because it was, I think, Memorial Day weekend, they were like, "Oh, we'll get it in a couple days," because it was underground in the tunnels.
Suspend your other...
Like coal mine, yeah.
Yeah, suspend your other, things you're up to.
I know you wanted to have your barbecue, but there's a fire blazing underneath your town.
Dangers afoot, and this is about to be a very bad Friday.
A hot foot.
A hot foot Friday, because the Great New Orleans Fire of 1788 would go on to destroy 856 of the 1,100 structures of New Orleans.
Oh my God.
Almost all of it except for a couple hundred.
Yeah.
It destroyed everything, Kristen.
Holy crap.
6 years they worked to rebuild the city. And then in 1794, another fire destroyed 212 buildings.
Oh my God.
And so the spirits...
New Orleans has really been through it.
They really have. I'll have even more on that later. So you mentioned the restroom.
Yes.
At Lafitte's blacksmith bar. Yep. So I swear to God, Kristen, this was not my goal.
Uh-huh.
I looked up the blacksmith bar on TripAdvisor.
Sure.
And they have all the reviews. It's got, thousands of reviews.
Yes.
You can search. They've got a search bar, so you can type in a word and see how many reviews pull up that word. So I searched ghost.
Yeah.
And it was useless because everyone was like, I came here on the ghost walking tour. And I was like, okay, so they're not saying they saw a ghost. They're referencing something else. So eventually I typed in the word scary. Kristen, the word scary got me like 7 reviews, and the majority of them were about the bathroom. So
about it being gross?
I wrote them down. Well, you tell me. Here's a review from September. You tell me. A review from September 2017. 1 star. Scary for the wrong reasons. There are a number of sketchy bathrooms in New Orleans, but this had to be the worst of them. Scariest thing we saw during our ghost tour. This next one, also from September 2017. What happened, everybody, that month?
When did I go? Could it have been? It honestly could have been 2017.
Search your Apple Photos for New Orleans.
That's true.
So this one, they gave it 3 stars, but they wrote most haunted women's bathroom.
I think I have New Orleans pictures on. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
We were walking around the French district and came up on this place. Immediately, I knew it was a building from the 1700s. We had to stop for a drink. Amazing, authentic. The staff wasn't friendly, but oh well. Then I went to the women's bathroom and immediately felt a scary sensation. I wanted to leave so bad, but I had to pee, and they censored the word pee.
So, did they do pee and
P
then
asterisk.
So I know it's not poo.
Oh.
I bet it's poo.
Good point. Yeah, I don't know.
I can see why you wouldn't think that right away, because I never say poo. I say poop.
Poo.
Yeah.
The word just doesn't end.
No, I don't like it. So I can see why you'd have thought it would be pee.
Right. But there's not, that term's not unpacked. I immediately felt a scary sensation.
Yeah, what is that?
What happened in there? And then this review is from November 2011, Drinking by Candlelight. Where in the world can you go to a bar that doesn't have electric? Just candles, a must-see. This is the same way it was over 100 years ago. Nice staff, interesting garden. The only scary thing is using the bathroom. There is not lights, just a handful of candles, so aim well.
I honestly don't remember the bathroom being good or bad. I
Maybe
don't
that's
remember it. I'm not
Kristen.
sure. I wasn't sober yet, so I'm sure I was drinking a ton. I know I didn't go actually too crazy in New Orleans, which is surprising, but I don't remember it all. Okay, we went there in February of 2016.
February 2016?
So maybe I grossed it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe it was still
for
lingering.
these people in 2017.
I showed up January 2017, so maybe it was a doubleheader. All right, the next story I'm going to tell you, Kristen, I'm going to give a content warning ahead.
Okay.
I think it's really interesting. Feel free to jump ahead, let's say 5, 7, 10 minutes. I don't know. Poke around. But it's about the yellow fever outbreaks in New Orleans. So very much about pandemic, very much about illness, very much about death. So if that's something, and I'm going to talk about symptoms of it, it's gross.
Yeah.
And it's intense, and it's a version of what we're all living through.
Ugh,
So
I don't want to listen to this.
well, you have to sit here, though. We have a contract. Do we? We should have a contract.
We should. We have a verbal contract.
Get at us. Agents, contract people.
Are you kidding? Yeah.
Get at us. Okay, so yellow fever. And I found this fascinating for a number of reasons. One, Allie and I did a number of walking tours in New Orleans, and a big source of conversation there was about the history with yellow fever.
Yeah.
And talking about how the bodies were piled like waist high outside. A real sort of bring out your dead
Yeah.
scenario. But I didn't know much about it, and I was curious to read about it. And
I remember they talked about that a lot when I went to Savannah too.
Is that right? It's very, very fascinating. It's
Yeah.
definitely scary in a different way, but I think, to me at least, helps paint a picture of why New Orleans is such a hotbed for intensity and scary stories, and why it has a reputation to be haunted.
Yeah.
So I'm not literally going to be telling you about the ghosts of people that died of yellow fever, but I do think that this is the source of what a lot of people point to for why New Orleans is said to be haunted.
Yeah, it's like context.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a, you can call it a cheat or something like that, because this is not a paranormal tale I'm going to tell you. But to me, I think it's context of the city that is fascinating and kind of important. And honestly, resonates today.
Yeah.
So here we go. Yellow fever, which I don't know much about as an illness, is carried by mosquitoes. And they thrive in warm environments. Other names, the saffron scourge,
That's awesome.
yellow jack.
I want to be called the Scarlet Scourge.
The scarlet scourge?
Yeah.
It's why
If
scarlet?
Oh, I don't know. I guess my hair used to be red. People
Okay.
used to talk about me being
People used to comment
Oh.
on my red hair.
Yeah, right.
Not anymore, though.
No, so now I'm still the Scarlet Scourge.
I'll tell you what, if it were going by hair, you can be the brown nightmare.
Maybe that's what happened in those bathrooms.
Maybe.
Lo-
Oh, yeah.
Lo those many years ago.
I better go on TripAdvisor and warn people. I think that's funny to be like, they must know. There was a time where I was known as the Gossamer Raven.
That's true. That's true. Honestly, with this cardigan that you're wearing right now, which is like a little loose, nice and soft and fuzzy,
Yeah.
I feel like you have shades of Gossamer Raven right now.
Thank you very much. My
You're
wife
welcome.
made this for
I
me.
know.
Yeah. I'm
It's
truly
wonderful.
Mr. Rogers when I wear this.
Yeah,
I feel.
totally.
Yeah. Anyway, other names for yellow fever as well. Yellow Jack, which to me is very
Like devil.
colloquial and scary, and yeah. Stranger's fever, because people would flock to New Orleans. This was like a very booming time. Honestly, because of slavery,
Yeah.
and because of like the technology surrounding cotton. So that was what brought people. But still, strangers would come in who were susceptible and
Yeah.
didn't know how to protect themselves. So strangers would bring the illness, and there would be an outbreak. And then here's one: Bronze John on his saffron steed.
Oh my God, that's the name for yellow fever?
That was a mouthful.
I think somebody who had yellow fever came up with that.
I think someone said it once.
Like, like they were in the throes of it and like sweating and said that.
You hear about Tucker?
Yeah.
You got Bronze John on his saffron steed.
No, I think somebody was hallucinating and they said they saw Bronze John on a saffron
they saw.
steed while they had yellow fever and
I
it
gotta
stuck.
sit on the Bronze John.
Wish they had one of those in Lafitte's.
If only. So in 1853, a particularly bad outbreak happened, and here's from Wikipedia, quote, "The press did not alert citizens of the outbreak until the middle of July, after more than 1,000 people had already died."
Oy.
There was a whole press thing. They were suppressing it. They didn't want to spread the news of it because they were worried that people would panic. And then they eventually had to admit, the press, that they had done harm by withholding the stories.
Freaking idiots.
The news is important. The press is important. There are going to be a lot of things that we learn here.
So friggin' dumb.
I found a chart from welcomecollection.org of the people who were affected and killed by yellow fever. And I wouldn't usually do this, but the chart is off the walls
God.
nuts.
That's
Irish
horrible.
and German people just kept dying of yellow fever.
Yeah.
Kristen,
We'd be in big trouble, mister.
we would be in bad shape.
Because we are Irish and German.
Yeah, Kristen and I are like,
Yeah.
yeah. Kristen and I are about 80% Irish.
Yeah.
During the worst years, the dead were stacked on top of each other in the ever-expanding cemeteries, and the smell filled the streets.
Savannah, too.
And then here's from NPR. It wasn't a pretty way to die. Victims would experience a host of unpleasant symptoms: jaundice, chills, nausea, headaches, fever, convulsions, delirium. Then there was the blood. Eventually, patients or victims will start to bleed through their eyes, nose, and ears. I've seen examples of people bleeding through their toes. Then, right before
Oh my God.
dying, victims would vomit partially coagulated blood.
That is horrible.
Think about, honestly, I'm not saying this to be playful.
Yeah.
Think about that in your context of vampires in New Orleans.
It kind of comes up a little bit.
Yeah, because there was it was so commonplace to see people that were
Right.
covered in blood or interacting with blood.
Yep.
Or I think that it really, I have another, you and I each looked up the same thing, and I think that the condition that these people were in made people think of them as vampires when really they were
Sick.
unwell. They were ill. It was an illness that could turn holy men away from God. I've seen examples of reverends and ministers screaming before they died. Even pious victims screamed profanities as the end neared.
Oh my God. That's
Horrific.
terrible.
So yellow fever tormented New Orleans from 1817 to 1905, approx. The epidemic could wipe out about 10% of the population.
That's a long time.
That's 100 years.
I know. I just processed it in my head. That's horrible.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It could wipe out 10% of the population during outbreak years. But again, it happened during the warm months. So this all would happen from July to October.
Oh my God.
In 3 months, 10% of everyone you know
Right.
dead and no place to put them.
I was about to say, so again, not just being silly or playful, but like the stench of that.
Uh-huh.
Because in the summer, with it being hot and New Orleans is super humid.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. The situation earned New Orleans the nickname Necropolis, which means City of the Dead. City of the Dead.
The deed.
The dead. Like I said about strangers coming in and having it, this is another quote from NPR. New Orleans in the 19th century was a bit like Silicon Valley today. It was the place where if you were an ambitious white man, you went to make your fortune. And it was a very...
Is there anywhere that can't be the case?
I was going to say, it's
That's
true.
everywhere.
But also, they really took advantage of the situation to promote racism.
Yeah.
There was a major lie that black people couldn't get yellow fever. But that was really...
Oh my God.
That was really used to justify slavery. We can have them all packed into living quarters and working in fields where they're sure to
That's
be at risk for it because they're safe from it.
That's
And
horrible.
we white
And
people
or
are
maybe
not.
like draw them there, like draw more
I
black
don't know.
people
I don't
there
know.
in some
But either way,
I don't know.
it was a
Like
reason.
you can be safe here. I know it seems like there's a lot of work
Oh,
here,
that's
maybe.
interesting. That's interesting.
Because people are dying off, so you can take advantage of that because you're immune.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know how
Yeah. I
frequently
know.
it was a choice to go there if you were black.
Oh my
but for,
God,
But
duh,
for
but-
for white people, it was
Yeah.
certainly used as an excuse to like, no, you need protection. Black people don't, so they can work because they are not at risk. But they sure were.
That's horrible.
Today, Kristen, with COVID-19, we talk about whether or not people are vaccinated.
Yeah.
And particularly, it feels like we're at the tail end of this thing, and it's all about, you see people debating it online, like, oh, they're going to ask me to show my papers that I'm vaccinated. What does that remind you of? But here's again from NPR. Catherine Oliverius, these are quotes from her, a history professor from Stanford. Instead of them discussing vaccinated or not, they would eventually get a vaccine. But at the time, it was about, are you acclimated or not? That was the term they used, and it's very much the same. Because you might survive yellow fever, and then you have the antibodies.
Yeah.
So are you acclimated? You've been through it and you're fine? Or are you not acclimated and you are at risk?
Right.
If you're unacclimated, You basically languish in professional and social purgatory. Bosses will not hire clerks and bookkeepers who are not expressly acclimated. Women will not marry men who not described as acclimated. You can't live in certain neighborhoods. People will not rent rooms unless you're acclimated. Certain social circles will exclude you. And so this created a hierarchy where you have people who are actively seeking to get sick, to become acclimated.
Man.
And then here's the final quote I have about this horrible situation from Country Roads magazine, which I thought was about like how to make like a pretty hearth.
I would think.
Right?
Yeah.
As these things go, think about how bleak this is and how passive it is. As these things go, it took at least one last epidemic for public opinion to sway towards scientific fact.
Yeah, well...
It took them 100 years to figure out where this came from and all to agree, let's make sure our drinking water's clean. Let's make sure that we are, like, keeping ourselves safe. Whatever. It just bummed me out that it's like, as these things go, it took one last epidemic.
Right.
For public opinion to sway towards scientific fact. And then they remember for a while, and then we all have times of peace and we forget.
Yeah.
And then here we are where we're having these debates.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's essentially in a very, very, very confined nutshell, yellow fever's history in New Orleans, and honestly,
and why it created this environment that's so death heavy.
Yeah, and the ramifications of it today. I mean, one of the really famous things to do when you go to New Orleans is tour the graveyards and talk about the dead.
Yeah.
And this and the Great Fire of New Orleans are sort of why. Part of the reason why.
But a big chunk of it.
A big chunk of it.
Oh my God.
I have two other things that are stupid.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you them?
Yeah.
Or am I taking up too much time? I'm genuinely asking you.
How much time are they going to take?
I don't think very much.
Go for it.
All right. Palate cleansers. Let's talk first about the tomb of Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God.
You and I both visited it.
Yes, we did.
When we took our trips down.
Did you kiss it?
No. Did you kiss it?
No.
Ugh. So for people who don't know, Nicolas Cage loves New Orleans. Maybe a little too much, or he's like...
He used to own Madame Lalaury's house.
Yep.
But had to sell it.
Had to sell it. He lost it to foreclosure.
Yep.
He supposedly claimed from that moment on he was worried that he was cursed because he owned it.
Right.
And another symptom of his fascination with New Orleans is that he bought an enormous 9-foot-tall white pyramid tomb for himself when he eventually dies someday.
Right.
Not only that, it is in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, the oldest cemetery in New Orleans, built in 1789, which is also said to be the final resting place of voodoo priestess Marie Laveau.
Right.
So the theory of why he has this 9-foot-tall white pyramid, Google this, by the way.
Yes, take a look at it.
It's bonkers. So anyway, the theory of why he has this thing and why it's a pyramid range from, he's in the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And, we think of the Illuminati.
Pyramids.
Think about the pyramid
Rich
on the dollar bill with the eye floating above it. Yeah, rich people, pyramid, whatever. There you go. Or because he was in the National Treasure movies.
Yeah, hell yeah, he was.
Once again, I guess just think about the pyramid on the dollar bill.
Or once again, watch the National Treasure movies.
I suppose so.
I love them.
And
There's going to be a National Treasure TV show. Did you know that?
I did hear about that.
I'm concerned about that putting National Treasure 3 at risk.
See, I heard that it's a spin-off TV show and National Treasure 3 is still happening.
That's what I've heard too, but I don't know.
I'm just so scared.
I'm just so scared now.
Yeah. The other theory why he has it is that he just thinks it's awesome.
I think it's that.
I think it's that. The Latin phrase omnia ab uno is on the front of it, which means everything from one, which I guess means that he created everything.
I don't really know what that means, honestly.
And like you pointed out, it's become a thing to kiss it and leave little smooch prints on it.
Yeah, were there smooch prints on it when you saw it?
There are photographs of it online.
Yeah,
I don't remember at the moment. But
I think there were.
I'd have to apply some like smackers before I did it or something. Lip smackers.
Do some Dr. Pepper lip smackers.
Yeah. So some people think that maybe he bought it in the first place because he thinks he's cursed from owning the Madame Lalaurie mansion. And he wants his new neighbor, Marie Laveau, voodoo priestess, to protect him from the curse. That's one theory. And a lot of people actually think that, and I don't know if this is true or not, I tried to find out. A lot of people say, well, this thing didn't just come from nowhere. Like, this is a packed cemetery.
Yeah.
If you take tours of it, and you can, it's cramped.
Yeah.
It's all above ground
Like
burial because you can't bury people below
no,
the ground because the city is below sea level.
so they tried that once, and all the coffins down there rose to the surface and like broke open and stuff.
Which
So
is-
they learned their lesson.
Maybe another reason why New Orleans has a reputation surrounding the dead.
Yes.
The dead.
They did.
So everybody's buried above ground. But so people are like, would they like move other mausoleums out of the way for this thing?
That is a good question. I haven't thought about that before.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, not impossible that they did.
True. Yeah. Who knows? I just don't know though.
Like, actually, again, I keep talking about Savannah, but it's also the South. In Savannah, I don't remember the name of the cemetery, but when Ryan and I were taking cemetery tour, they were talking about the fact that they moved the cemetery from this place, like really, really close by. They basically like shifted everything to the right, let's say, but they left the bodies
Oh, God.
underneath the streets.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. The last thing I really have to say about it, I always wondered, like, very famously, Nicolas Cage had, problem. He owned so many, like, he literally bought castles and
Yeah.
stuff, and so he had to end up like getting rid of a bunch of them. He had to offload them, and I always wondered if he still owns that tomb.
Yeah.
So I found an article that cites he went to visit it last year in February 2020, just before he'd have to lock down. He got to pay one last visit to his grave.
Okay.
All the headlines said Nicolas Cage visits his pyramid tomb with a mystery woman.
Oh.
They were more interested in who he was dating,
Yeah.
not so much the tomb, the white pyramid tomb.
Right.
It's bong. I want to know what he has to say about it.
I would like to know that too.
But anyway, presumably it's still his.
Yeah.
And he was trying to get a fitting for it or something. I don't know.
A fitting?
I don't know. Well, why do you go to visit your own tomb?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Trying to see if he can stand inside it. I don't know.
Fitting.
A fitting.
I don't know what he would be doing, but I don't think he was there for a fitting.
Who knows? All right, my last palate cleanser, and it's blood sucky, so it'll get us right to your vampires. I found out about a monster I'd never heard of before. It's related to the chupacabra, and yes, it's called the Grunch.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Not the Grinch,
Yeah.
the Grunch.
Grunch.
Because it likes to crunch?
Real.
The Grunch? Basically, it's a lizardy thing, and this is from Cryptids with a Z.
Okay.
Cryptids.fandom.com. I'm just going to read you what they wrote.
Please.
An old voodoo hoodoo story says that Marie Laveau, voodoo priestess, castrated the devil baby. First time it was mentioned in the article.
Okay. Really throws you into the deep end.
Thrown right into the deep end. Marie Laveau castrated the devil baby when he was born to stop him producing more of his evil kind. The bloody testicles allegedly turned into a male and a female Grunch
Ew, that's like the grossest thing.
upon falling to the floor, whereupon they attacked the great voodoo queen, Marie Laveau.
Ew, a set of balls that turns into something called the Grunch.
The Grunch.
Which is like a hop, skip, and a from Grundle.
It is.
Oh my God.
So they claim in this article that it turned Marie Laveau away from voodoo.
She was like, this is not working.
I'm done.
I don't blame her.
I went ahead and grunched myself.
Yeah, right.
No, thank you.
That's like the worst case scenario.
That's really all I have to tell you. It's basically the chupacabra. It sucks people's blood out. Look up
Yeah.
the Grunch. But there was a comment on the article that I liked. Endo the Outcast in 2016 wrote, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grunch."
That is good.
Which is the obvious one. But then there was a response to it by 4K Ultra HD 2 years later.
Okay.
They wrote, "You're as a cryptid, Mr. Grunch." Which I do not understand.
I don't either.
I guess it's a joke.
You're as a cryptid, Mr. Grunch.
Can we
Yeah.
Can we just act this out real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be Endo.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, you're a mean one, Mr. Grunch.
You're as a cryptid, Mr. Grunch.
Good.
I paused because the pause was symbolizing the 2 years
The
between
2-year
those comments.
gap between those
Yes.
comments. And then also just from looking around, I found out that there was a book about the Grunch. It is called Grunch Road, and it was written by Matt Butts. So you can get that. It's on Kindle.
That's
and It's
awesome.
available now.
Oh my God. Grunch Road by Matt Butts.
Matt Butts
Hell
wrote
yeah.
Grunch Road. So go check that out.
Well, Grunchy Gang, I think we are going to switch now to my topic. But before we do, we want to let you know how you grunchies,
How come you didn't go
little
with...
grunchies.
How could you not go with Grunch Bunch?
I didn't think about
You
it.
said Grunch Gang.
Yeah.
In the face of Grunch Bunch. Doesn't
Yeah,
that
Grunch
seem...
Bunch. Yeah, Grunch Bunch is way better.
Anyway.
You can join our online Grunch Bunch Grunch Club
Yeah.
by going to patreon.com/GTTUpod, where if you donate $4 or more per month to the show as a thank you for all the free eps we put out and to help support us, support jokes like Grunch Bunch and all this, then you get a bonus episode every month of the show. Every month.
Yeah.
There are 20 waiting for you right now that have already happened. There's also a monthly live stream. There's a patron-only Discord where like super nice people are talking about cool stuff all day. It's really awesome. So please go to patreon.com/GTTUpod to keep us rolling in grunches.
Please. Yeah. We'll order so
We'll
much.
do anything.
We'll let you sit at our grunch table.
Yeah. We'll invite you over for Sunday brunch.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about vamps.
Yes.
All right, so New Orleans and vampires have a real thing going on. And I didn't know exactly why. And it turns out it's the French Connection.
Oh.
Not unlike that movie starring, I think, Gene Hackman.
Wow.
So a lot of people came over to New Orleans from France. That's why there are like a million French names for everything. And vampire tales were huge in France. So they just brought them on over, basically. And so since then, there's like all the Anne Rice vampire novels are set, I mean, not every single one, but are set in New Orleans.
Oh, that's interesting.
There are tons of vampire tours that you can take in New Orleans, in addition to kind of your standard ghost tours and haunted tours and stuff. And also, there's a large community of people who self-identify as vampires who live in New Orleans.
What?
Which we will get to. You don't know about this? Oh, I talked about this on the Patreon live stream that you weren't on.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
What
our
must
Patreon
this-
grunchies know about this already.
What dedication must that take?
To live a vampire lifestyle?
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, okay.
But first, Will, let's talk about the thing that you and I both came across.
I
And
love
you
this.
can collab with me a little bit and jump in. This is the story of the Casket Girls. So this is one of the oldest vampire adjacent stories that takes place in New Orleans. The deal is that nuns were sent over to New Orleans in boats from France in 1725 to set up a hospital and to educate young girls. However, 2 years later, when they'd been there for a while, the founder of New Orleans was like, the ratio here isn't really totally right. Like, it's a frat party. So there were like 5 dudes to every 1 girl in New Orleans.
Oh my God.
It was a total sausage fest. So he sent back 2 nuns and asked them to send over a bunch of like eligible women
Right.
for the men there to marry, which is so weird. And also the dudes there were kind of scary because they were doing this thing at the time where they would take criminals from France. They're like, you're not good enough to be here, but we'll ship you over to New Orleans, rehabilitate yourself, and then you can come back and live in France.
Oh, they claimed they could come back?
Yes. So a bunch of like pirates and scoundrels and stuff
Oh my God.
living in New Orleans who they're sending women over to marry, ostensibly. So these girls come over on a boat and they had this coffin-shaped luggage with them. Like, it was a coffin, basically, but they were saying that their stuff was in it. People thought it was weird, but they're like, they're from France. We don't really know them. I guess the French are weird or something. And they sort of just accepted it. And they said that it was just their stuff, including wedding dresses, because, like, they were coming here to get married. So everything's on the up and up. It's whatever. But a little while after they arrived, the mortality rate in New Orleans drastically went up. And people started to notice that this started happening right after these casket girls arrived.
Yeah.
What the hell is the deal with this? And so people wondered if maybe their casket-shaped luggage may have been holding something else. Someone's else.
Oh, so the people that came over were not vampires, but they were concealing vampires to come over.
Yes. Although there are variations of this story.
Yeah.
But yes, some stories say that they themselves were vampires. Some say that they were like, oh yeah, no, I have a wedding dress in here because I'm really wholesome and I can't wait to marry a pirate. But actually they were just smuggling over vampires from France.
Yeah, okay. I'm just here to meet a bunch of Jimmy Deans here in
Yeah.
Sausage City.
No, it's all cool. I hear you guys are just rolling in little smokies over here, so we decided to pop on by. Little smokies.
Little smokies.
So the story goes that the nuns looked in the caskets one night.
Sorry, it really got me. I heard you guys are rolling little smokies over here. It's like the least cool euphemism I've ever heard in my life. What's up, boys? You guys rolling in them little smokies? Weird.
First of all, I think calling it a sausage party is so stupid and funny.
So stupid. Yeah, I agree. It's like the a dopey brain.
It's so dumb, but it makes
term.
me laugh.
It's so funny.
To be like, oh, it's like a sausage party in here.
New Orleans is a total sausage party. We needed some more chicks. It's weird.
Oh, God. Okay, so the nuns they catch wind that this is a thing people are thinking. So they decide to go look in those casket luggage things at night one time, and they found them empty.
Yeah.
And if it was nighttime, that probably means that the vampires who could have been in them were like out and about doing their thing. So they contacted the archdiocese to come and help them out with the situation. So the archdiocese people came, and they decided that during the daytime, they were going to sneak up on the coffins, caskets, whatever, and nail them shut, and then go put them in the attic of the convent and seal up that attic forever. And the story is that that is where they remain.
Oh, to this day.
Yes.
Oh no.
That the vampires must have died in there because they could never get out.
Couldn't feed.
And that's the end of that. So there's no proof that any of this actually happened. There's no proof that like there was a mortality rate that went up that coincided with girls coming over from France or anything like that.
I mean, if they came over in the 1700s.
I mean, things weren't going so hot
No.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, and there are variations of the story, but the version that I was told on a walking tour that I went on, because we went by the convent, and that's when I heard the story for the first time, was that things might have gotten like mashed up and had some vampire stuff going on because of kind of what you were talking about in a way before. The girls who were traveling over to New Orleans from France by boat were in the bottom of the boat for 6 months.
Yeah.
So they were like all gaunt and pale, and some of them got tuberculosis, which caused them to cough up blood. So maybe it's this like you see pale people who have like blood on their mouths, and that's kind of, you know, vampiric, and it all just got the vampire, and it all just got kind of like
gentlemen,
mushed together.
here are the ladies. Yes, Nosferatu.
Here's your future bride. Yeah.
She's upset too. Honestly, these are people.
No one's happy.
Nobody's happy. These are people that were like, you know, sent away from their home.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Spent 6 months sick and in darkness
Yeah.
on the Atlantic Ocean.
And they're supposed to come and marry a rando who's like likely a bad dude.
And the rando is also like, ew.
Yeah, right.
This life sucks.
Sucks completely.
Sucks.
So,
I honestly have a quote from back then. One of the casket girls is quoted as saying, "This sucks.
I got to tell you, this sucks.
This sucks."
You know, I have to admit, this whole trip sucks.
This was supposed to be my spring break, and this sucks.
Have to admit.
Okay, this sucks.
Okay, so that's like an old vampire story. That might be one of the first things that got people thinking about vampires in New Orleans.
Can I add 2 small things
yes,
to the
please.
casket girls?
Yep.
One is that I heard about their luggage. That casket was actually CASQUETTE, and it's just the name of that luggage, which
Oh.
becomes casket. So it may
Oh,
not have
that's
been
cool.
shaped like caskets. Another thing I heard is about, and I don't know if that's true. Another thing I heard is about the where they stayed,
It was a convent.
the convent. So they were supposedly up on the 3rd floor, and the 3rd floor windows are all boarded up. So people were like, they did that to
Oh,
keep
yeah,
the sun
yeah.
out. But the truth of it is that the boards weren't added to the windows until a century later, and it was because of hurricanes.
That rings a bell from the tour. I feel like we talked about that too.
Yeah, so
Did
just
you go
more-
by there on a tour?
that I didn't remember. Honestly, Casket Girls, this story was one of the things that Abigail from Hunt a Killer had sent me an article about, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's
the,
cool.
The term Casket Girls,
I know.
to me, is so awesome, and it makes me think of the morbid youth.
Yeah, totally.
That we talked about on the show, I don't know when, but it was girls in France that would show up to watch people be beheaded by a
Yeah.
guillotine and cut their hair short. Just the way that the blade of a guillotine chops the hair when it cuts your head off.
Yeah.
They were the morbid youth, and here are the casket girls.
So awesome.
Just so awesome.
Totally. Okay, so now here is a bummer story that's also a true story.
Hell yeah.
But it
Let's get
and
sad.
true crime, but it feeds into, again, the
Yeah.
vampire lore of New Orleans. You kind of can't not mention if you're talking about the vampire New Orleans connection. So in the 1930s, a woman escaped from the home of the Carter brothers, these two brothers who lived together, with her wrists slit, and told the police that they had been keeping her there and feeding on her blood. When the police went to the house to investigate, they found 4 other women tied to chairs in the same condition. This is a real thing. The Carter brothers were arrested, they were tried and sentenced to death, and then they were buried in their family's tomb. However, legend says that when another family member died and the tomb was opened, because something else that I learned touring St. Louis Cemetery 1 is that they would basically like reopen a tomb if a family had bought like a plot
Yeah.
and like scooch a bod to fit the new person in there.
Yeah.
So when they opened the tomb to put new bodies in there, the brothers' remains weren't there.
Oh, I thought it would be like, greetings, gentlemen. The door creaks open.
What took you so long?
That's exactly what I was about to say. What took you so long?
But so they have since been spotted numerous times wandering the French Quarter. Because they're vampires, you see.
Yes, you might have to cut this.
What? Why?
What I'm about to say.
Oh.
What is it where somebody opens a door and just goes, what took you so long?
Oh, God. It's from Seinfeld.
Is it Newman?
Yes, it's Newman.
Something happened and the police showed up and Newman's
The
reaction.
dog. The dog that they kidnapped for Elaine.
All right. You would obviously expect to get away with the bad thing you did, but Newman's reaction when the police show up is, what took you so long?
What took you so long?
Just so,
Such a tough guy.
so smug, so the bravado on this guy.
It's the best.
What took you so long?
It's so good. Okay, so here is an awesome one. It's a famous one. Again, so I post every week a screenshot of my notes on Patreon to be like a tease for the people who are patrons. Like, this is what's coming this week. And I screenshotted these notes, but I didn't include this next part. However, somebody commented and they were like, ooh, that reminds me of the Saint Germain house. And I was like, oh, how interesting that you should say that. Knowing that I was going to cover it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is about the, I don't know how you pronounce this, Comte.
Okay.
Comte Saint Germain.
How's it spelled?
Compte, period. It's like Mr., but French or something. I don't know. Obviously, with Bonjour Mongitude,
Yeah.
we've proven ourselves not
Just-
super. So I'm going to.
I'm just not even going to try.
Compy Saint Germain, we're going to
Compy,
say.
perfect.
Okay. So this is another famous New Orleans vamp tale. This is a dude, Compy Saint Germain, who lived in France in the 1700s and threw lavish parties with these amazing spreads of food, but he never touched a bite of it. Guests said that he would regale them with stories about things that had happened hundreds of years ago, as if he had been there. But how could he have been? He seemed like a young man. His death is recorded as being in 1745, but people think that that might not be legit.
This sounds like somebody who is
A pain in the ass.
who knows exactly what they're doing.
Definitely.
Knows exactly what they're doing.
Just wants to appear.
Hey, Compte, what's his name?
Saint Germain.
Hey, Compte Saint Germain, you want shrimp?
Yeah.
Bleh, no, I couldn't. No, I wonder why.
Well, I wonder if he were around today, and who's to say he isn't? Maybe he really does self-identify as a vampire, but he's a dork, and he was like wanting people to whatever. Okay, so here's where it comes to New Orleans.
Okay.
200 years later, so now we're in the 1940s, a dude named Jacques Saint Germain rolls up in New Orleans and starts living in a house on Royal Street, like a big, beautiful house, and he starts doing the same thing. He never... I'm laughing at what I wrote. This is so stupid. He, never eating, but putting out a hell of a schmear.
That was real good. That was real good.
So he puts out a hell of a schmear, but he never touches it. Oh my God.
That was real good.
Thank you.
Honestly, if you're a vampire, I guess you save on your food budget, right?
Unless
So
you're throwing lavish parties to show off the fact that you don't eat.
But my point is, you don't buy yourself groceries, so
That's
you can
true.
afford
Yeah,
to
that's
have
true.
like a big banquet.
Maybe that's why so many vampires, because you know how like vampires are almost always like super rich and fancy?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they save so much money on food.
Also, like, why do you want me to eat deviled eggs in front of you? Like, what's your deal?
Yeah, why do you want us to eat so much? It's weird. But so again, telling these stories from like forever ago that he couldn't possibly know about. So people start whispering.
It's so annoying.
This is really funny. Okay, but then, William, it gets serious. One night, Saint Germain asks a pretty woman at one of his parties to go to the balcony with him, and she ended up throwing herself from the balcony.
Oh.
People say it was because he was attempting to bite her. The police were called, but he had vanished by the time they came. They searched the home, and it said that they found clothes from different time periods.
What? They found clothes from different time periods? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
This guy sucks. Is this true?
I don't think so.
Okay. This guy's,
Unclear.
this guy's parties.
I actually didn't verify this at all. I don't know if this is pure legend or if like there's some truth to it. I have no idea.
These parties stink. Horrible.
Yeah, he's just regaling people. This guy's holding court. How annoying.
Telling stories.
Can we talk amongst ourselves or we have to listen to friggin'
have to
Jacques?
Listen to you tell stories from 100 years ago? Like as if you were, and then Gary said to Peter, boy, it sure is 1906.
I mean, I think he did.
I don't remember what he said. I mean, why would I even know? Maybe I do know. Maybe I don't.
And he had stashes of old-timey clothes. Why would he have that?
Get rid of them, dude.
Yeah, you live in this time now.
Yeah.
You're just like dressing up in old clothes and looking at yourself, I guess.
He can't
No,
look
it's
at
just to put
himself.
out. Oh, that's right.
Mirrors.
That's right. It's just to put. No, this is all just to lay a trail for them to follow and be like, I think this guy's a vampire. Like he has really old clothes and wine bottles that seem to be filled with wine, but were actually filled with blood.
Well, that's scary, I
Yeah.
will say. I don't know what's up with that.
Well, because he'd be drinking wine at the party, but he was really drinking blood.
No, I know, like, conceptually, but,
Yeah.
like, you gotta fill,
Oh, like-
you gotta fill those, and, like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, he had disappeared, but they found his clothes of different eras and bottles filled with blood.
You know how, like, Doc in Back to the Future had money from all different eras and stuff?
Yes.
So do you think, like, a vampire has, like, skinny jeans, or, you know, maybe I gotta wear this frilly shirt?
I mean, but why? Because they're not time traveling.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to go back again.
Yeah, I
They
guess
just
it's
collect
just
it
if they
all.
like, want to have a little fun or something,
So he's got, like,
or
you
if
know,
they're gonna be like Ichaboding.
he's got, like,
at
a
some point.
Hawaiian shirt,
Yeah,
you know,
for all climates.
a bowling shirt
Yeah.
from, like, the 90s, like Chandler used to wear on Friends.
Yeah. Oh god. So anyway, he had vanished, and since then there have been sightings of Jacques Saint Germain in New Orleans and around the world.
Honestly, you want to know where he is so that you won't be there. Not because he's a vampire.
Because you don't have to hear one of his boring stories
Oh
about
my
stuff that happened
God.
in 1890.
Oh, hi, Jacques.
This guy's insufferable.
What else happened?
Yeah.
You don't
Call me
say.
in 5 minutes. If I'm not done here, call me and say there's an emergency.
Jacques.
That's if you bump into Jacques like on the street.
Oh, boy, Jacques going to talk to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Here it is.
Remember, what are we going to do? We have to get home because we have to take the dog out, right? When Jacques comes over? Okay, all right. We're on the same
All right,
page?
go, go,
Okay. Hi, Jacques.
Oh, hi, Jacques. Okay, so now let's talk about the real vampire community that lives in New Orleans today.
Let's.
Okay? So, perhaps because of strong ties to vampire stories, New Orleans has become something of a mecca and comfortable place for people who identify with a vampiric lifestyle. So, they are not all blood drinkers, although some are, and those who are feed, they call it, consensually. A public advocate for vampirism is somebody whose name is Balthazar Czar Ashtonson, who you can hear on episode 13 of Euphemet. He is the founder of the New Orleans Vampire Association. So there are different categories of vampires, like people who feel that they're vampires. There are all kinds of different ones. There are sanguine vampires, which are the ones that would actually drink blood, tantric vampires, energetic vampires. It basically all boils down to getting energy in some form or another from another person.
Is there anybody that relates to, like, you know, the Master from Buffy? You know? Or, like, Nosferatu?
Maybe.
with those long nails and like the bald head.
Yeah, those aren't like the hottest vampires. They probably relate to the master's power.
Listen.
I bet there's a hierarchy in some houses.
If somebody ever says to me, I relate to their power, it's a good conversation.
I'm running the other way.
I
don't want to get tied up with that person. I'm too susceptible.
I relate
what
to
if I
their
fall
power.
under their spell?
You might.
They could glamour me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the people who I read about in an article that's linked in the show notes referred to realizing at some point that there was something different about them, which turned out to be vampirism, and they refer to this as their awakening. And it seems to often happen in the preteens and teens. So it's almost like puberty time.
Okay.
You're figuring stuff out about yourself or whatever. The people in this article were like middle-aged now, so they've been like living this lifestyle the whole time.
All of them? Or
In the
middle-aged?
article I read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All vampires are middle.
Well, okay.
Yeah, no, just the people who were interviewed they seem to be middle-aged.
Gotcha.
So that dude Czar defines vampirism as a physiological condition wherein the afflicted person's body either does not make enough of, or any at all of, the daily essential energies necessary in order to perform daily tasks. So for him, he says if he doesn't have blood regularly, or for the energetic vampires in the article, if they go without physical touch, they feel unwell and drained. They feel sick if they don't get to have those things. So I guess for you or I, it might be like, water or something like that. Like you feel a little dehydrated.
I'm popping antidepressants. I take.
Oh, that's true.
I take
Yeah.
iron. I take vitamin D.
That's true.
Right? Like
Yeah.
my body does not make enough of those things. Right?
Yeah, that is a better comparison.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a bit of a vampire myself.
I guess I am too.
Yeah.
I'm too taking antidepressants and iron and shit. Oops, excuse me. So they don't necessarily always look goth. Some of them do, obviously. And they have all different kinds of religions, jobs, whatever. Like, just kind of like anybody. One dude in this article was self-employed. He has a financial firm. He just seems like some dude.
Okay.
But he just identifies as kind of like needing to feed off of other people's energy in order to feel his best.
Everybody do what you do.
Yeah.
You do you. I believe in your self-identification and your journey. I believe in all of it.
Totally.
I feel there's a line here. Mm-hmm. I just want to call it out where some of this is amusing, but also every single thing that you're telling me about falls under the category of people telling you who they are.
Yeah.
And so when people tell you
Totally.
who they are, that's who they are. That's a
Believe 'em.
fact. Even the Nosferatu joke is just because I view that
Yeah.
look to not be the thing you're.
It's traditionally
Most
not
people aren't-
aspirational.
Most people don't want to look like Max Schreck.
Right. Exactly.
That's really what I mean.
Or the master from Buffy.
Or the Master from Buffy. Right, correct.
Right.
Most people aren't chasing that.
Yes, but if they are,
Hey,
more
listen,
power.
Do what you got to do.
Totally. Do whatever the hell you want. So a lot of them end up living in New Orleans because they can let their freak flag fly there. There's already a big community of people who are into that sort of stuff. It's a diverse place in general. It obviously kind of welcomes strangeness and creepiness and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of a good place to live if you identify and live your regular life as a vampire in some way, whether you present as that or not. So the New Orleans Vampire Association offers a safe community for them to like hang out and be able to talk to somebody who relates and doesn't think they're a weirdo or whatever. But they also do community outreach, feeding the homeless, not blood.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, totally.
I am very curious, and this is a question that I'm sure has an answer. I'm not positing a hypothetical to be like, this doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a condition where you need to consume
I think
blood?
that it's debated because I think that there are some people. So like I've looked into this here and there, I've just been aware of it for a while. There are some people who identify as vampires who say that that's the case. They're like, I need blood. That's a thing. And then I think there might have even been like a True Life on MTV about this or something. Like, that show that used to be on?
I don't know if I personally count that as a
Hard-hitting.
verifiable source.
If they were interviewing a vampire, it is.
But there must be people who would have that condition that are like, don't call me vampire. I just have this condition.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yes. So anyway, my point is that there'd be some people who said, I need this, it's a physical thing. And then I think there are doctors who say like, well, like some people have that, but like unless you've been tested and whatever. Like, it's unlikely that you do. You could just be anemic or something.
Right.
So it's like very individual.
Like I said, I take iron like
Yeah.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think of iron as being something that
Yeah.
is in your blood.
It
right?
is. Mhm.
So
Too much iron in your blood.
Exactly. I would be a real target for Magneto.
Yes.
But I wonder, is that potentially part of it, right? Like if
Yeah. No,
I could
no.
be either popping my nature maids,
Yes.
or I could be chasing down some plasma
Yes.
down to the blood bank.
Yes. I didn't see that in this article because I was just reading about people who decided to live in New Orleans for it. But from being semi-aware of this, I think that has been posited too. That some of these people, like, blood does make them feel better, and maybe that's a sign that they have anemia and would benefit from iron supplements. Or I guess if they want to do it this way and somebody else is willing, I guess they can.
Okay, I've Googled if I need iron, can I drink blood?
Okay.
And it just gave me stuff about iron supplements. Can I drink blood? I won't go too far down this rabbit hole.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a whole BBC article about the people who drink human blood.
Yeah.
In most major cities around the world, communities of ordinary people, nurses, bar staff, secretaries, are drinking human blood on a regular basis. The question is, why? In the French Quarter of New Orleans, John Edgar Browning is about to take part in a feeding. It begins as clinically as a medical procedure. His acquaintance first swabs a small patch on Browning's upper back with alcohol. He then punctures it with a disposable hobby scalpel.
Hobby scalpel? That's weird. I didn't know that was a thing.
If you have a hobbyist surgeon,
Yeah.
I don't know if that procedure is going to go well.
Hobby scalpel.
And squeezes it until the blood starts flowing. Lowering his lips to the wound, Browning's associate now starts lapping up the wine-dark
Ew.
liquid.
I don't like lapping.
Lapping. Okay. Okay. Well,
Did you find what you were looking for?
no. Here's what you need to know. People are doing it.
Yeah.
So
All right.
they're doing it.
They're doing it.
They're doing it, and they're doing it. Well, everybody, we learned. Maybe some people identify as a grunge, right? They drink blood.
That's true. That's true. Maybe it's like a subset of vampirism.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't either.
Okay. It seems like as good a place as any to
Yeah, to get the hell out of here.
disappear into the darkness.
Yeah, right.
To return to our caskets. All right, everybody. This has been wild.
Yeah, totally.
Honestly, I feel like this conversation has, like slightly pushed open a bunch of doors that I want to burst through and learn about.
Yeah.
Other topics.
Yeah.
Like, I think we really will have to do this again.
Sure.
Because it's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Or dive into, specific things.
Exactly.
more.
Right.
Yeah.
I although I think that maybe the identifying as a vampire thing, I don't think that I can ever have an answer to the fact of the matter
There's
is
nothing to answer.
there's nothing to answer. It's just the life that people are living.
Totally. I mean, so like I said, I talked about it on a Patreon live stream. I think that it was the live stream from February.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested. So on those live streams, while William was on his parental leave, I would look up things on the computer and share my screen with the people watching, and we'd talk and stuff, and I don't remember how we ended up on a real vampire rabbit hole, but we did for a while.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in that, you can go check that out.
It is fascinating. What do you sort of make of it?
I don't know. I mean, exactly that. Just live and let live. Like,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they want to do that, like, that's fine.
They don't even need our opinion on it. I'm just curious.
No, I
like
know.
they're already doing it, so they're living their lives, and
No, I really don't have an opinion. I mean, it's not for me,
as
but
long as people are all agreeing to the
I
circumstances.
find it super interesting.
Yeah.
But fine by me.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's interesting. I guess
Yeah.
also the term vampire.
I know, that's the thing.
The term vampire is so loaded and so ripe for mockery.
And so fictiony,
So fictiony.
you know?
Like, you can't divorce vampires
Yeah.
in my pop culture brain now from
Totally.
like Twilight or Brad Pitt with a ponytail.
Yes. But you know what? In some cases, I mean, like I said, it's all different. But in some cases, some of these people who identify as vampires lean into that. Like, maybe not necessarily Twilight, or maybe it is for
Maybe
them.
it
But
is,
like,
yeah.
They like some people like the imagery of it and everything. So there are people who just look like a secretary that you would see anywhere, and there are some people who dress vampire-y all the time.
Yeah, okay. Right
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
It's super interesting.
Totally.
All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week on Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you honestly have any other stories from New Orleans,
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally would just be interested to read them or something. So so send them to us.
Yeah.
gttupod@gmail.com. Really, really interesting.
Yeah,
and
it's a
again,
cool
I
place.
love that we did stuff that's sort of off the
Yeah.
beaten path. Not to say that we will never do
Yeah.
Voodoo or the bigger stories.
No,
but
that's super cool too. But it was fun to see some of these slightly smaller ones.
absolutely. So once again, go check out patreon.com/gttupod and consider signing up to become a Netherworld Warrior. That's the tier that starts at $4 or up. You can type in whatever you'd like. You'll get access to a ton of bonus shows over there and bonus live streams. There's a whole other ecosystem of shows that
Yeah.
you haven't seen or heard on patreon.com/gttupod. You can find links to that, to merchandise, and to every previous show in our library on gttupod.com. Follow us at gttupod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to keep up to date with what we're doing. And you can also follow us online.
Yep, I'm at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We will definitely see you next week for more weird stories that provoke and intrigue you.
Yes.
But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the videos. Go we. To the netherworld.
She's got tongue madness.
Yeah, I do.
She's been bitten by a grunch.
Got tongue madness.
No.
Hope you guys enjoyed. It looks like it.
Yeah, I saw the chat going pretty wild. That was
Caitlin would like to be brunch in the next life. Nice.
that was interesting. I'm really hung
That was
up
a
on
cool one.
the identifying as vampires
You've
because
never heard of that before?
no, not really, or
Really?
maybe I've just never really thought about it like this.
Uh-huh.
Because the other fact of the matter is, like, I think that the further that we get, the older we get, the more society develops, the more I really believe there's this phrase. I sort of used it on the show, but like when people tell you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
I see that usually in the context of like people turn out to be scumbags.
Yeah, it's a Maya Angelou quote.
Is that is it? Oh, okay, I didn't even realize that. But so it's like if they behave poorly,
Yeah, it is usually that.
then don't decide to trust them because they are who they said they were the first time. They're gonna do you wrong.
Right.
But I also sort of like think about that phrase in terms of like
Yeah.
the phrase self-identifying is used increasingly, and like I literally think it might also be a matter of here's the person that I am.
Yeah.
Why would you second guess me about
Yeah.
that? I'm telling you that this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
But my old mind goes, people self-identifying as vampires is unusual, and there's too much opportunity for comedy.
Yeah. Totally.
But I want to reject that because I believe
Yeah.
that people can do whatever the hell they want, especially like if everybody, like for vampires,
If everybody's on board.
If everybody's on board. It seems like people need to explicitly consent in the world of vampirism.
Yes, and actually in the article that I read, like I said, it'll be linked in the show notes. They said that when they do feeding, and I think that in the article you just found randomly, they said the same thing, that it's almost clinical.
Yeah, I would think it would have to be. It's
Yeah.
such a sensitive thing to
Yeah, even just health wise, like
trade blood.
Yeah, totally. So they
What?
apparently most people, and I'm sure that there are people who don't or whatever, but like a lot of people, I don't know, take it like very seriously and carefully, I guess I
Yeah.
should say, you know?
All right, well then,
So-
seriously, more power to him. It's fascinating,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to override like the easy joke of it.
I know. It definitely is. I'm sure I would have made fun of it more when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly. I really had to confront for a moment there, like, no, I don't
It's a
like
little
the.
funny on its face.
It's a
you know what I
little
mean?
right.
Like it's a fictional character.
Honestly, Nosferatu.
Right,
And maybe
totally.
there are people that are like, no, I just think this is interesting
know.
and imposing.
I know.
Right? But I don't know. I just don't really.
I don't care.
I don't
mean,
care.
Well, I'm interested, but it doesn't bother me.
Right. I don't
It's-
care in the sense of.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Live your
whatever you
life.
wanna do.
Live
It's
your
fine.
life. That was fascinating. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very like thought
Look up
provoking.
some stuff. I seriously think, and I'm sure it might not have framed it in such a sensitive light. I think there had been an MTV True Life about it at some point. There are lots of articles like that you came across. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well-
And that Euphemet episode.
Right, true. Well, what do you think about the guy that you were talking about before, though? Like the Count whatever,
I
who
think he was hooey.
would just tell stories about 100 years ago as if they happened. That's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah, I know.
You can,
so, like,
here's the thing.
yeah, I can still respect, like, you can do whatever you want to do, but I think it's annoying.
You can also
like,
be
some of
annoying
these,
as hell.
Yeah, some of these vampire people, like, I can be like, yeah, go for it. But if I met them, I might be like, oh, God,
Maybe
this
some of them
guy.
are super cool.
Right, totally.
Maybe some of them suck.
Totally. Like, everything
Like
ever.
everything, yeah.
So that guy sounds like a real dork.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, if he wants to be a vampire, then be a vampire.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric, same. I think that a lot of people also recognize, like, people who do feel that they're vampires are like, yeah, I know, it's, like, funny or whatever, and, like, they're kind of chill about it, you know? If you're gonna have, like, the bravery to, like, be out and about as a vampire, like, you must have a little bit of a sense of humor about it.
Or at least an
perspective.
awareness of the baggage that's
Yeah,
going to
just-
come with it.
Just a
To head
perspective.
it off.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God, I did not know that, Kate, that Count Saint Germain is considered an ascended master in New Age circles. I did not know that.
What does that mean? What's an ascended
An
master?
ascended, I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Like a god or something, like almost like a saint.
So he is the master.
He's the master. But yeah, it's like somebody who you could like look to, like a saint kind of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Interesting.
Wild.
Guys, thank you so much for going on this ride with us. This was a very cool one.
Very interesting.
It's so
very,
interesting
very
how
interesting.
how much a lot of you know about New Orleans and stuff. I guess it's just really pervasive, but also people who watch the show are also interested in this stuff the way that Will and I are. So you've probably done your own, you know, research or entertainment or whatever. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of people knew what we were talking about.
I loved New Orleans. I
was
loved it
lukewarm
so
on
much.
it.
Is that? Oh, that's right.
I theoretically really like it. I
Yeah.
love all the stories about it and everything. I was sweating my nards off.
Right.
I didn't like the food that much.
And you went in February, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allie and I went in January.
Yeah.
And it was quite comfortable. And you know I can't stand the heat.
I know, William.
I'd get out of the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah, I was real hot, and I didn't really like the food.
Interesting. Muffaletta. Yum, yum.
My favorite thing that I got there was a muffaletta pizza.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that sounds
It
nice.
was really good.
Fascinating.
Hmm. But everything else was like fried or with like a heavy sauce or whatever. And I don't like too much of that.
Too much of sauce.
Too much of sauce.
All right, everybody. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's going to do it for us. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
This was also a pretty longy. This was like a marathon-y kind of
Yep.
episode, but I really enjoyed
I had a great
myself.
time.
Had a great time.
Totally.
All right, everybody.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Hope everybody's having a great night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, simple. Yeah, I like simple too. I love carbs. I could eat carbs all day long.
I made-
But specifically fried stuff and like really heavy saucy stuff, it just got to be too. I can only have that like every once in a while.
I made the best pesto baked ziti last night.
Really?
Pesto baked ziti with some sliced tomatoes. I know you don't like that,
Yeah,
but they're great.
that's okay.
And some cut up zucchini and 2 layers of mozzarella melted in there.
And no ricotta, it sounds.
No ricotta.
That sounds very good.
It is dynamite.
I don't like baked ricotta
You can
or
have
like
a little,
hot ricotta.
You can have a little sample upstairs if you're interested.
I'm actually pretty full. I got Panera after work.
Yeah, I get it. All right, everybody.
Allie made Will's sweater.
Yeah. It's very cozy. I wear it when I
Yeah.
get cold down here. Keep it in my little office.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
All right, guys.
We're actually going to leave
Have
now.
a great night.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Cool. Good show.
Cool.